What's going on, everybody? GZTV back with another video. And in this video, we are going to be talking about Better Call Saul, the 6th episode of Season 5, of course. Pretty cool episode here. They have like promotional posters, which I thought was pretty badass. That they started doing that and like really started to promote the show, because it really started to get out there. People were like done rewatching Breaking Bad, I guess, because there's waves of that happening in pop culture and in social media. You know, people posting, "Oh, I just got done rewatching Breaking Bad. Still can say like this is the best TV show I've ever watched." You know, that type of thing. But yeah, I think we're gonna get through the plot. We're gonna get through what people thought of the episode. Maybe a little bit of my personal thoughts, but this is just to kind of go over this episode and kind of recap it. You know, obviously I should probably I probably should have my own thoughts, but sometimes we don't have time. After this, we're gonna be talking about the NBA games from last night. I watched a decent bit. You know, I was hanging out with my friends. We went to have a lift session. I didn't really lift, but we went to lift. We played a little bit of basketball at the beginning. We went out to dinner, and then kind of just chilled. But yeah, let's go. In the opening. In a flashback to Kim Wexler's teenage years, her mother is late picking her up from school in Red Cloud, Nebraska, because she has been drinking. She hit up a bar like right before she picked up her daughter, and this is to kind of like highlight a somewhat rough childhood that Kim Wexler had. And that's really cool because we've never really gotten insight on Kim Wexler's childhood. I mean, obviously, Jimmy McGill, Saul Goodman, whatever you want to call him at this point in the show, they've given us some insight on his backstory because he's the main character. But to see Kim Wexler get this type of spotlight is really cool. I think that's dope. Kim walks away and refuses to ride home with her. Her mom's like drunk. She doesn't want her to like drink and drive and get in an accident and hurt her. Yeah. Kim's mother angrily yells that Kim never listens to her. But you know what? Looking back on that now, who cares? Because she is with Schweikart and Coakley. So here you go. Everything worked out for Kim, apparently. But the main story, obviously, that's like a really big opening. Jimmy McGill's camera crew and local actors film at the nail salon, trying to crack down on Wachtel, trying to kind of expose Mesa Verde, and Jimmy's about to pull something crazy off, and it's so awesome. It's so awesome to watch this. This is why it's such a dope show, because of all these things that Jimmy pulls off. Is it realistic and would it happen in real life? Probably not, but it's just cool to like think of a world where stuff like this happens. I mean, it does sometimes, of course, but not all that often. Kim arrives and tells Jimmy she does not want to attempt to blackmail Kevin Wachtel and offers a settlement to Everett Acker, because remember, Kim Wexler is pretty much going up against Saul here. It's kind of crazy. That's why the episode's called Wexler v. Goodman. It kind of all boils over, and we kind of get that at the end of the episode. With Kim personally making up the difference between what Jimmy agrees to and a $75,000 payment. So, like, she's really showing that she cares, wanting to give a donation to this guy for all his struggles and his troubles of, like, getting kicked out of his house. And this would be plenty to buy a house. I mean, he's living by himself. He doesn't need a fucking mansion, you know? Obviously, there's, like, some classism going on, but, you know, it is what it is. Jimmy says Acker already agreed to accept $45,000, so he concurs. He wants to continue to go into motion with this. And at this point, obviously Kim Wexler put him up to this, but she can't really stop him now because this is his client, and he really cares about his client. He's dedicated. So now it's into Jimmy's hands, what he wants to do. After representing two prostitutes in court, Jimmy unnerves Howard Hamlin by paying them to disrupt his business lunch with Clifford Maine, and obviously Davis and Maine did Jimmy wrong, so he's like, you know what? To hell with it. These are two guys I despise in this law world, so let's just make their day hell real quick. It's kind of funny. Nacho Varga meets with Gus Fring, Hector, and Mike Ehrmantraut, but pretends not to know Mike. Like, he's like, oh, who the hell is that? But we know throughout the show they kind of talk to each other. They've seen each other before. So, yeah, I'm not sure if you can really pull that off too much. And I'm pretty sure Gus should know that he knows Mike a little bit. He reports on Lalo Salamanca's plans to reveal the location of Gus's street dealers to the police. So, Gus needs to take action so he doesn't get in trouble and he doesn't get in the crosshairs of this thing. This would be a pretty big drug bust given what Gus does in the drug industry. Gus tells Hector to ensure that only low-level employees are arrested and, if necessary, to hire new ones to sacrifice. And, geez, that's kind of some evil shit, but anything to save your own ass. I mean, it makes sense. I'd probably do the same shit. It's damn near like snitching almost. Like, I don't know, that's kind of fucked up. You give new employees hope of working for a drug kingpin and then they get arrested. That's crazy. Gus tells Nacho that from now on he will report to Mike. Mike is the guy. He will be taking over, say anything you need to him, and then he will report back to me. After Gus leaves, Nacho warns Mike about Gus's ruthlessness. But Mike reminds Nacho that he told Nacho the risk he took by trying to kill Hector Salamanca. You knew what you were getting into. You knew that Gus wasn't going to take a liking to that. And yeah, you made those bad decisions. Mike hasn't really made bad decisions yet, so there's that. Mike discreetly feeds police information about Lalo's car and its connection to Fred Whalen's murder before using a tip from Nacho to have police converge on Lalo's location and detain him. So we don't really get much out of that situation. That's kind of what we're left off with. There's kind of two separate situations. We got Jimmy, because the characters are kind of like merging together to make their own storylines. Jimmy and Kim fighting each other over Everett Acker, and then Emmerich, however you say his name. And then you got Gus, you got Victor, you got Nacho, you got Mike, you got Lalo, you got all these guys together. And they're, it's pretty dope. So Jimmy meets with Kim, Rick Schweikart, Kevin Wachtel, and Paige Novick to complete Acker's settlement and stuns everybody by demanding $4 million. I told you, Jimmy McGill, he pulls off some crazy shit, and he might actually be able to get a pretty big sum going. It is insane. Then he would even get close. When Kevin ridicules him, Jim shows his video. Rough cuts of commercials seeking plaintiffs for class action lawsuits against Mesa Verde, which unfavorably depict Kevin's father, Don Wachtel, and he's like he's getting personal with Kevin. He's like dragging his father, the president of the thing, in here. So yeah, Kim's insight from Sobchak's photos of Kevin's house is that Mesa Verde's logo is based on a photograph the bank did not obtain permission to use. So that's kind of like a crazy revelation, and it's actually true. Jimmy's not just trying to frame them. I mean, he kind of is with the commercial, but they did use copyright infringement. They did commit that. Jimmy uses the threat of lawsuits and an injunction against displaying the logo to persuade Kevin to accept a settlement that includes cash for Acker and the photographer. So he literally fucking blackmails. I mean, Jimmy's like the master of blackmailing and manipulating people, but holy shit, this is crazy. Just to pay someone that much to get out of their house, it's crazy. So when Kim comes home, Jimmy is apprehensive, but says Kim and he should celebrate. Like, they settled. They got this shit out of their lives. They need to celebrate. Kim vents her anger at Jimmy for making her the sucker in his con, like pulling her in and making it her versus him. She never intended for that to happen. Obviously, they're a couple, so yeah. It's kind of embarrassing, I guess. She says they either need to end the relationship or get married. So, like, it's crazy. We either need to get married or we need to just cut ties, type thing. Wexler v. Goodman was acclaimed by critics, of course. Very popular show, obviously. On Rotten Tomatoes, Rotten Tomatoes is a pretty big site here. 100% approval, 13 reviewers, 9 out of 10. Like a cookie full of arsenic, Wexler v. Goodman delivers the fun and the toxic, enthralling viewers with Jimmy's plan before delivering a series of gut punches they aren't soon to forget. So the end kind of left us with questions, like, are these two going to stay together? Because we know that Kim Wexler doesn't stick around for the Breaking Bad storyline, so is this where Kim Wexler's reign in the Better Call Saul story ends? We're not really sure, so that's kind of like the cool suspenseful part. Like, when is this character going to leave the storyline? Because there's still characters that don't even make it to Breaking Bad that are still in the storyline. But yeah, I gotta go. Have a good rest of your day. I'm going to talk about the NBA right now, actually.